Hey everyone, it's Will, GamerDad, with another video for you. So hopefully you've gotten a chance to update to the new update version 3.0.100 to unlock the main story part 3 if you are at that area, which is chapter 84 and onwards. Now, if you're not, of course, hopefully you're able to still partake in these banners or just catch up on things that you haven't already finished. Now, in tonight's episode of Should You Summon, we'll discuss the various banners that are featured now that the main story part 3 Into the Hollow, the Chronos Empire Strikes Back, has come with. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. I also do have a Patreon account for those who want to support me this way. So let's get right into it. Our first one is the very, very awesome Star Dream encounter. Now, normally it's extremely awesome. This version is just kind of awesome, and I'll explain shortly why. So for those who have already partaken in the Star Dream in the past, a Star Dream guarantees you one 10 pull, of which there are various, chances of getting things. And at the end of the 10 pull, where there's no uprated anything, you do have a Star Dream fragment, which you can then use to choose any 5-star that's allowable to be selected with this Star Dream. Now note that because this is actually in line with the Japan's release of Main Story Part 3, this is only going to be for units up to 2.13.100, which is Chapter 1 of the Apocrypha. So for those who don't remember, that features ES, Miyu, and Orlea. Anything after that, so the Almas, the Alter Hizminas, and so on and so forth, will not be featured, as well as a lot of those ASs that were released later on in the fall. This was about August 2022 for us in Global. So you can take a look at the lineup of the normal pulls. So even the newest units are not available in the regular pull. So you can see that the newest unit here is Orlea, although they still have very powerful units like Flam, Eva, Pisaka, Nikoko, normal style, no AS yet because AS came down around Christmas, and so on and so forth. And so you can see the list of 5 stars here are essentially the same list of 5 stars that you can now select in the Star Dreams piece after doing this summon. So some of the altars are also here, although the newest altars are not. And of course, bots, Rainbow Sisters, and Knights galore. And when you scroll all the way down, you can go completely over the entire list of the Star Dream, again, up to only the first chapter of the Apocrypha. So I won't waste any time here. And so you can just see that. Okay, so should you summon, and who should you select with the Star Dream encounter if you decide to do so? Now, first of all, with most Star Dream encounters, first of all, I do not recommend you using it right away. Wait until the last day or the last week that it is expiring. Then if you decide to use your paid stones on it, you can do it. And then you can actually hold that fragment for an additional month, after which you can use it within the last week or so. And the reason for that is you most likely will be continuing to pull either on the daily Whispers of Time, aka Sprinkles Assault's single pulls. You also have the free 5-star that came from starting the new story arc, as well as this 5-star that you'll get after doing 10 days of collecting those Whispers of Time. You may also be doing 10 pulls on the newest banners, or chasing back units that are still going for, like Efi, and so on and so forth. And so there's a high chance that you might hit some 5 stars along the way, in which case you don't want to waste a Star Dream pull on those ones. Now, because this is an older Star Dream, I'm going to actually refer you back to my original Star Dream video recommending some of my picks at the time. I will put a link in the description below. Just as a summary, at the time I did say either Flam or Eva, normal style. Pizzica would be a great singer to choose from. And then you have units that can be used in any elemental zone, such as Nikoko and RCF. There are, I guess after that, it's all a matter of, if you want to fill out your zone setters. Again, keep in mind that there are free 5-star pulls, so keep those in mind. As well as other kind of DPS to round out your pulls. Now, I would only like to amend a couple of things from that original video, most of which I said at that time still remains true. However, I would actually move Orlea near the top of the list. When Orlea first came out, Thunder Zone was still relatively new, obviously, and so we didn't see a lot of use of Thunder Zone or the potential firepower that Thunder Zone can generate. After playing with Orlea and obviously a Thunder team for some time, I would say that Orlea, with her ability to preemptively set Thunder Zone, she can do a triple debuff 50-50-50, heal, she's got some combo rate up, minor DPS, but mainly as a support. She actually gives you a type shield 50 while establishing zone, and so on and so forth. She allows one turn AF for Thunder units and can be used to augment teams even with ES Miyu and other powerful Thunder units like, for example, AS Victor, RCF can be used in there, Nakoko or AS Nakoko can be used in there, and so on and so forth. So a highly rated pick. For comparison, Orlea was my 4th pick in the more recent Star Dream, which is only like a month or 2 ago. And so even at this point, she still would be considered a highly valuable unit if you don't have her. After that, in terms of singers, although Pizzica is still quite good, I will have to say I've changed my mind about AS Mystere just a little bit. The fact that she has dual debuff that can stack upwards of 50-50 debuff, plus the fact that she has an end of turn attack, and the ability to still heal and cure status and boost damage for your entire team. She can be very, very useful in certain team strats, stall strats, and so on and so forth. And she does function a little bit differently than Pizzica, so I just want to throw a couple of the honorable mention in that sense. In terms of other units you can consider, now that we know that we have AS Yifa and AS Radius, if you are newer to the game or you don't have any form of Yifa or Radius, you can actually choose them with this second Star Dream. I know those units are older, but by having them in any form, you now allow yourself the opportunity to farm out those Chance and 5 Treaty Seas, and then side grade normal style Radius or Yifa to AS Radius and AS Yifa, both of which are still considered meta, very powerful in their own right. Yifa does extreme amounts of buffing and kickback immunity, and AS Radius is essentially a cheat code where you tank 3 turns of attacks no matter the cost preemptively. Alright, so hopefully that gives you a little bit of information about Star Dream for this version. Again, reminder, it is not to up-to-date units. It is only up to Chapter 1 of the Apocrypha. And again, the link will be below summarizing my original video at that time. Okay, now what everyone's waiting for, of course, is Minoka and Tetra. So this is the 3x max Fateful Encounter. Again, flat 10% chance on pull 10 for the new unit, and if you do hit her as a 5-star, you do get Tetra for free, which is a sidekick. If you hit her as a 4.5, I imagine that if you do side grade, you do get the 5-star afterwards. However, I'm not sure if you side grade from 4.5 to 5 whether or not you get the sidekick. So if anyone who's following Japan knows, let me know, because the answer will definitely change if side grading to 4.5 does not give you Tetra right off the bat. And of course, being that this is the paid banner, it does have all the newest units, including Efi, Ultra Hismina, and so on and so forth, Flam AS, and AS Nakoko, and blah 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 blah. All the great new 5-stars, shiny new 5-stars, a mix of the older ones as well, unfortunately, and even worse, the bots Rainbow Sisters and Knights. And of course, there is also the regular version for us as free-to-plays. And this one is split with our favorite Flash Strike stance, Melissa. So Melissa, of course, is our global first unit, which is about 2 years old. And Minoka, of course, is our newest unit. So this is a split banner, 0.4 for the 4.5 for each of those units respectively, and 0.8% for the 5-star for each of those as well. Again, with free banners, the newest units 2 banners ago will not be here. So Efi is not here. Flam AS is not here. I believe that Ultra Sakia will be here, so because she is already considered old enough. So Moonlight Hismina, Yeah, I don't see Ultra Sekia here. Anyways. Okay. So, should you summon? So again, not knowing whether or not you can side grade the 4.5 to 5 star and get Tetra, I imagine yes, but again, not sure on that. That being said, Minoka is our newest Fire Slash unit. She conditionally can set Slash Zone, although you wouldn't depend on her doing that because I think she has to build up a number of stacks, which is in combination with her sidekick. And the sidekick does its own kind of moves, which helps supports Minoka's abilities. So to make a long story short, Minoka basically tries to self-damage your entire team when she's in the front line. She does 20% fixed damage based on the current HP of your team. And depending on how much damage she does to your team, she now powers up her slash fire moves to do tremendous amounts of damage. At a certain point, depending on how long it goes and how many charges her sidekick gets, she can also enter something called lethal mode, which is a power plus 50, which is very similar to the trance mode on Alma, which basically, is a lunatic kind of ability that does tons and tons of power. She does have a 0 MP cost farming ability, so whether or not you're new or experienced in the game, we always welcome lots of free farming abilities. Okay. So her main draw is the fact that she can do a ton of damage. She can actually set something called Elemental Break Fire, which is very similar to AS Flam or with Ultra Hismina or Efi, where they apply stacks of break, and under certain conditions, it will now trigger, causing each of those hits to do double damage. So in the case of Elemental Break Fire, all fire attacks after her attack will now, for 3 hits, will do double the damage and is only consumed when fire hits hit. So if you have 3 single target fire hits that only do single hits, then you got 3 stacks of break 3 times that each of those single hits will do tremendous amounts of damage. By the way, that one that inflicts fire break also inflicts pain, and by the way, ignores barriers, which is very, very useful. For anyone who has units that can ignore barriers such as ESMU or Alma, or even using Efi to do something like that, you can cheese out certain fights that have barriers such as Lavager, Murphy, and so on and so forth. She also has AoEs that can do a tremendous amount of damage, again, conditionally based on the amount of damage she's done to her whole team. Speaking about that, that sounds bad, right? Well, her sidekick, Tetra, actually heals everyone in the front line for 20% of their max HP. So, your Minoka is supposed to do 20% of the current team's HP damage, and then, Tetra will heal it all back, or possibly more depending on how things are going, and it interacts with her such that when the HP of all party members was less than 80%, not only does it heal it and restore statuses, it will give itself a charge. At 8 charges, it does do fixed damage to the AoE, kind of to the whole board, as well as activate that kind of trance or lethal mode for Minoka, such that she now will have a one-shot attack that does, I think, among the highest DPS in the game, and also deploys slash stacks. Not sure if the fight will last that long, because it looks like it will take almost 8 turns to get there, but the fact remains that there's some interactions with the pet or the sidekick and Minoka. I will say I'm not an expert on this kind of sidekick system or buddy system as they referred to it before. Looking forward to seeing videos on it or exploring through the main story part 3 and seeing more. But on first glance, Minoka is a top tier fire slash DPS. If your team requires fire slash, and that also depends on your roster, what point of the game you're in, and what kind of difficulty you're having, then Minoka is one of the top units you can add. I mean, I know she's only a DPS, but hey, top DPS are still very, very valuable on your roster. Now, in comparison to some of the other banners out there, there is still Efi, Eva, AS Flam, and other, I guess those are the main ones active. You have to ask yourself, where is your roster standing? What holes does it have? And where do you want to really redirect your stones? Because really, Efi and AS Flam and Minalca are all extremely powerful in their own right. Efi, for example, is our only Shade Zone setter. AS Flam can side grade to normal Flam, which can Neptune everything away. And they're also different elements. So I can't answer for you whether or not you should prioritize Minoka over the other units. But I'm just saying that if you want a top tier fire DPS, she is your girl. One last thing I'll say about her that might detract you from pulling on her. We do have a lot of fire, and we also have a lot of fire slash. We have free units like the Aldo, the Tails, Complex Stream, all of which can really do very high powered fire strats. You know, you have Kid, for example, and so on and so forth. You have Garyu with Manifest, which can do a lot of damage. And if you augment that with fire type magic units such as Ultra Xion Perfection, and so on and so forth, you probably can win already for any enemy who is weak or vulnerable to fire. So take that for what it's worth. However, we don't have a fire slash DPS that can penetrate barrier. So, you know, that is how I would rate it. So I know many of you have already mentioned it, and I know a lot of you may be low on stones because you've already tried on Efi or other current banners. But let me know how you did on this banner if you are summoning on it, or on your any banners that you're pulling tonight. And I will let you know my results as well. I am planning to pull on Minoka. Hopefully I land her in a reasonable amount of stones. But you know how RNG gacha is going to be, right? Sometimes it treats you well, other time it kicks you to the curb. And so win or lose, you'll find out from me. One small note, this one is paired with Melissa. So if you are looking for Melissa as a flash strike stance, she and AS Hardy are the only two out there. It might be worth your while to prioritize this banner over one of the other two banners. So, because you're getting kind of 2-for-1 bang for your buck if you want an older flash strike stance with Melissa, which, by the way, is still quite useful for certain strategies. I've used her actually recently for one of the super boss fights. Yeah, so keep that in mind. Anyways, hopefully you are enjoying Main Story Part 3. Like I mentioned yesterday, I'm going to be taking my time exploring this vast new world, and so my uploads might be a little bit more infrequent, especially since I have to balance work life and family life balance with game life. Anyways, as always, good luck with your pulls, and hope to see all your 5-star celebrations in the near future. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.